Pimp was only like 18 years old. So he pulled me in the hallway. We was at the Dallas Sound Lab. He say, say man, how much money that nigga paying you for your, to be his hype man? I told him. He started laughing. He said, what? He said, man, if that nigga ever do anything dirty to you, the way you're not satisfied, you can be UGK's hype man because you really the show. I said, okay. Fast forward, something happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't say what happened because me and Ron cool now.
Yeah.
But something happened and I became UGK's hype man, and doing the Super Tight tour. So they was recording Super Tight here in Dallas at the Dallas Sound Lab. So I saw him record from backside to side, 316. I was supposed to be on that album. I did a song with it was Pimp C. I rapped the second verse and Big Mike rapped the third verse. Okay, it was called High Till I Die. Right.
Yeah.
All the way up until like a week before the album. I mean, they had sent the artwork and everything, and High Till I Die is on there. But he had sampled. I can't remember the song, but it had Tupac. He's High Till I Die. Do 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 do. High Till I Die. But he couldn't get that cleared. You know what I'm saying? So instead of them going in, Pimp was adamant about, I want it raw, like how I have it in my head. That's how I want it to come out. So he's like, well, if y'all ain't gonna do it like that, I'm not gonna go in and say it, just scrap the song. I'm like, oh, there go my song that's supposed to be on UGK album.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I did that, and but I still was the hype man. So I'm actually the only hype man UGK has ever, official hype man that UGK has ever had. Because after that, they started, Run DMCing it, just those two on stage. So in between Super Tight and Riding Dirty is when I came back to town, and on December the 8th, 2005, I lost my little boy in a house fire. And that's when, you hear the song on Riding Dirty. On one day you hear it, next day you're gone. And he said, my man Bobo just lost his baby. So that's me. And so I just really wasn't feeling traveling anymore. So he was always adamant about, well, Bobo, get something started in Dallas. I mean, you got popularity, you're a go-getter. You can get something started. So I started, well, let me back up. While I was in Port Arthur, he had been saying the same thing. He wanted me and DJ Bird to start get a radio show in Lake Charles. Lake Charles was the first city right outside of Port Arthur.
Yeah.
Lake Charles, Louisiana. You leave Port Arthur, I say out of Port Arthur, out of Texas. You leave Port Arthur, you go to Orange, Texas, and then boom, you're in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And so we, made our little sound check tape, take it to the place, and we think we finna get on because we're UGK. It's gonna be UGK radio.
Yeah.
Pimp was gonna come back and forth and do different appearances, Bun as well. Well, that didn't happen. They didn't give us the job. So, but when I came back to Dallas, I started doing these radio drops, for, I think the DJ at the time was a guy named, matter of fact, I just heard he passed away. His name was Broadway Joe. He was the 6 to 10 jock. Broadway Joe. So I did his intro. Okay. So every night from 6 to 10 at 6 o'clock, you would hear me, for about 6 months. You know what I'm saying? I was the intro to his show. So the next guy that came in, his name was KK Holiday. I don't know if you remember this. You remember KK? KK Holiday ended up leaving K104 and started work for TRL on MTV.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did his intro. So I'm getting my name out there from doing that. I used to go to the club and they'd be like, well, this Bobo from UGK, I could get in free and all that type of stuff. Cause I was, we were still young. And so from there, Big Al from Nemesis approached me. He's like, man, I've been hearing your stuff on the radio. He said, I want to do an album, right? I said, okay, we can do an album. How you want to do it? He said, well, I'm not no writer. If you'll write all my stuff. And so we was recording down at the Dub One studio. It was at the Longhorn Ballroom.
Okay.
You remember that bull that was outside the Longhorn Ballroom? Yeah. That was a Mexican restaurant called Raul's. Right above Raul's, these 3 white guys lived up there, and there was a studio up there. Shout out to Steve Paul. I don't know if you know Steve Paul.
Nah, I don't know.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, what happened was Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth recorded Killer Cottonfields in there. And it was wow. You know, these are nerd white boys.
Yeah.
And they could, you know, they don't smoke in here and they all with their shirt all. It's a part of the
Yeah.
they got formaldehyde dipping. Well, I mean, it's wild. So they got barred from the studio. So I went up to him and talked to him like a gentleman and said, hey man, I mean, those are my guys. I know them, I love them, but this ain't got nothing to do with me. Can I record her? And I promise nothing like that to happen. And so he allowed me to record my album up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not my album, the Big Al album. And so we did the Big Al album. The last song we did was Already. And so Already became everyone's favorite. K104 jumped on it. At that time, you know, we didn't have 97.9. So 104 put us in like full rotation. And it was just me and another guy from my little brother group that was out of my hood called Triple OC.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what sparked everybody in Dallas to start saying Already. You know what I'm saying? Because this was in 97, 98.
Okay.
Yeah. And so everybody asked me, you know, did you start the term already? Did Already start in Dallas? No, it didn't. I had heard Already being on the road with UGK in and out of Houston, in and out of Louisiana. So I'm not going to take credit for that. But I think I coined the word here in Dallas. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, at the time, K104 was reaching all the way to Tyler, all the way down there halfway to Houston. So everybody in between heard Already from my song that was on that Big Al album. So one day, Pimp had never heard the album. He called me. He was on my way home. He was on his way to my house from Port Arthur. He's like, I said, bro, I'm glad you showing up. I got this project I want you to hear. He said, no doubt. And so as soon as he get there, I play the whole album for him. He said, and the name of the album was Big Al's Ghetto Story featuring Bobo, right? Because I'm on every song. And he said, I hear you on every song. He said, but I hear y'all make these beats on a computer or something. Y'all didn't make y'all drums on a drum machine. And I said, no. I said, how can you hear that? He said, man, my ears trained. I can hear it. Them drums ain't hidden. He said, I tell you what I do. He said, he trying to pull a little Troy. That's what he said, because at that time, Want to Be a Baller had came out, and Lil Troy wasn't on that song at first. It was just Youngster and somebody else. But Lil Troy took the credit. Right?
Yeah.
So he said he trying to pull a little Troy. I said, yeah, I laughed. He said, well, you call him and you tell him I got my drum machine in the car. You tell him I do all the drums on this album right here. He said, the beats are solid. You just need more drums. I'll redo all the drums. You can use Pimp C from UGK name. All I want him to do is say, this is Bobo's album. I called Big Al. Big Al said, nope. So I hung up the phone. He said no. He said, he gonna regret that. So after that, we had some money issues. I separated from him. You know what I mean? And because we ain't got to deal with South by Southwest. Shout out to Robert Gilliman, you know, and all them boys down there in Houston. We had got a distribution deal through South by Southwest. And they gave him a bunch of money. But as soon as he and I walked through the door and they found out he was Big Al from Nemesis, their antennas went up. Pooh. Hey, can we do another Nemesis album? Well, Snake was living in Atlanta working with Too Short, him and Quinn Black.
Yeah.
Azim, my college roommate, he was already working for he was the VP for Bad Boy. Yeah. Right under Puff. Yeah. You know, well, he went through, he may have been working for Motown at that time, but you know, he's a big time record executive still to this day.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it didn't get done. So I told Pimp, I said, man, I'm going to do my own record. And he gave me that, you know, he came up and gave me a beat. He moved to Dallas. Well, I ain't going to say he moved to Dallas. He came to Dallas because he moved here once before. I used to live right over here. You know what I'm saying? He moved in with me. Oh, God. I used to live in the apartment's now called the Indigo.
The Indigo.
Yeah, I used to live in them before they were called the Indigo. You know what I mean? And Pimp lived there. People don't know Pimp C lived there with me for probably about 2.5 months. You know what I'm saying? Because we were here trying to work on my project, but the guy didn't come through with the money. So had us broke as fuck, bro. So the verse on Bitch Get Up Off Me, where I say, when things got rough, me and C hit the cut, that was real. You know what I'm saying? Because I had some cheese, saved up. And I poured them in his hand and said, "Where you get this from, Bobo?" I said, "Hey man, for a rainy day. It's a rainy day." And so we went to my hood singing hills. Pimp C was on the cut. I said, "I can't sell it." He said, "I'll sell it. You give me a hat and a jacket, I'll be out there on the cut." So I took him to this little street called Lazy River. So Pimp C stood out on the cut. That's a true story. You know what I'm saying? But the guy never came through to pay us for the Bitch Get Up Off Me beat. You know what I'm saying? So he just told me I could have it. And that's how Bitch Get Up Off Me came about.